Welcome to the fourth installment of Music Lessons the Easy Way. And today we're going to talk about chords. So chords are the coolest part about playing the piano or the guitar, or if you're playing in a section, if you're any other instrument like a trumpet or a saxophone or a violin, and you're part of a section with other musicians, we can create chords, right? Same thing if you're in a choir, right? Making chords with all the different notes. So chords are groups of notes that are played together, right? And this is basically what we call harmony. So we talked about melody in the last lesson, which is one note at a time. Well, harmony is several notes being played together, right? And this is what creates kind of the cushion for our melodies to sit on top of. So we're going to start with the major chord. This is the simplest chord there is. All right, we're going to start from C, as we always do. So to build a major chord, we need to start from C, and then we need to jump up a major third, which if you remember from our intervals lesson, that is going to be the distance of 4 half steps. So we go 1, 2, 3, 4. And then after this note, we're going to jump a minor third higher than that. That's going to be 3 half steps, right? 1, 2, 3. And that is the C major chord. So you may also notice that from our last lesson when we did scales, we had the C major scale. So the major chord, you can also think of it, it's the first note, the third note, and the fifth note of a major scale. But if you don't know all your scales really well yet, you can just use the cheater method, which is the 4-3 pattern. Start from the first note, up 4 half steps, and up 3 more. Boom, major chord, C major chord. And it sounds happy and bright, right? That's how we know we did it correctly. It's definitely a major chord. So let's pick a different note. How about E? Start from E, up 4 half steps, and 3 more. Oops. And there's our E major chord. Sorry, my microphone got in the way there. And it sounds happy and bright. That is correct. All right. Let's start one from a black key. All right. Let's pick B flat. Up 4, major third. And up 3 more half steps, a minor third. Boom. There we go. B flat major. So it's important to recognize that scales are built in seconds, right? Half steps and whole steps, minor and major seconds. But chords are built using thirds, right? Major and minor thirds, 3 half steps and 4 half steps respectively. So we're going to move on now to the minor chord. So let's start from C. A minor chord is the opposite. It starts with the minor third, 3 half steps, 1, 2, 3. And then the major third, 4 half steps, 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, notice the difference in the sound there. This one sounds a lot darker, right? So if you think about classical music, Mozart really liked to use major chords, right? You may have heard this melody before. So those are all major chords he was using. He's a really happy person, right? Beethoven, on the other hand, was a really dark person. And so we get some darker sounds using darker chords, minor chords. So that's the C sharp minor chord. It's actually like this. Right. So we have major chords, we have minor chords. Let's pick out some different minor chords. Let's start on A. And up a minor third, 3 half steps, and up a major third, 4 half steps. There's our minor chord. Let's try E flat minor. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. Look at that one, all black keys, right? The A minor chord was all white keys. You see the difference, right? Black and white, it doesn't matter, right? It all depends on the pattern of half steps that you're following. So those 2 chords, the major and minor, are going to be the most often used chords in music, right? Like probably 90% of the chords you ever play are going to be one of those. And there's 12 of each, right? So you got to learn all 12 majors and all 12 minors. You can work your way up the chromatic scale. All right, same thing with the minors. You go all the way up to the top. All right. Now there's two more that we need to know that don't get used quite as often, but it's important to recognize them. Think about it. We had a 3-4 pattern and a 4-3 pattern. So the only two options left are 4-4 and 3-3, right? So let's do a 4-4 pattern. This is going to be called the augmented chord, right? Let's start from C. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Sounds kind of spooky, right? Kind of sounds like a train. All right, we can start that from any other note. How about D? 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Or how about F sharp? 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, so it's a very tense sound. All right, we're going to use that to our advantage later on. And then the last one, the 3-3 pattern, gives us a diminished chord. Diminished. You probably heard these words before if you're involved in any kind of musical activities. Now we know what they mean. Start from C. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. All right. It kind of sounds like, reminds you of Halloween, right? A lot of Halloween songs utilize diminished chords extensively, right? How about from E? 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. And one more from D flat. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. All right. So something that's interesting to me is that the non-symmetrical patterns in music tend to be the most favorable and pleasing to our ears, right? Symmetrical patterns always end up creating some weird sound, right? So as evidenced by the diminished 3-3 pattern, diminished chord, or the 4-4 pattern, augmented, sound weird. But when we start to have unsymmetrical patterns like 4-3, the major chord, or 3-4 with the minor chord, it's a little more pleasing to our ear, right? Same thing with scales. If we do all whole steps, it sounds like aliens or something. That's called the whole tone scale. Or if we do the chromatic scale, it's not all that pleasing, but once we start to make unsymmetrical sounds, that sounds a lot better, right? So now we know the 4 basic chords, or triads. In this case, they're called triads because they only have 3 notes in each chord, right? Now that we know major, minor, diminished, and augmented, now we can start moving on to some of the cooler chords that we're going to talk about in the next lesson.